Evaluating AI output. Publicly accessible AI tools like ChatGPT, DeepSeek, and more can generate fast content for you, but they often come with compromises around your personal information, the credibility of the generated output, and the protection of copyright and intellectual property. This can equate to stealing someone's ideas, research, writing, art, photography, or other creative or academic efforts, and can affect the creator's livelihood. Remember that anything you submit to a generative AI tool, including your questions, information about your assignment or a work project, source information, and potentially personal information you may submit during your conversation with the tool, will often become part of the dataset. Do not copy and paste or upload any information to an AI tool unless you own the rights to it or you risk violating copyright and intellectual property laws. Unless you have specific permission, this applies to your professor's course materials, information from textbooks or resources you find in the library, information and documents from your workplace, and more. Here's some sample content generated by the tool DeepSeek. Web-based generative AI tools usually cannot tell you where they got their information reliably, and often fabricate realistic-sounding references, facts, and data that cannot be verified. While some tools are a little better, the majority cannot be assumed credible. When you have permission to use a tool, remember that you're responsible for its output. Make sure you leave time to evaluate the output you plan to use. Did you ask the tool for references or research on a topic? You'll need to access these sources and read them before using them in your work. How can you check sources? Click on provided links to review source materials. Uh-oh, we've got a problem. The first link is invalid and the second links to a completely different article. These APA citations provided are either fabricated or incorrect. Link doesn't work or can't access the article? Look it up in a library database to see if it exists. If an article exists, searching with information from the reference will take you right to the source. You can also do the same with Google. Articles that actually exist will show in Google, even if the library doesn't have them. Looks like the first of these sources exists, but DeepSeek has provided the wrong link. The second article reference linked to a completely different source than expected. This is usually an indicator that the generative AI tool has fabricated a reference. Let's try looking up the journal mentioned on Google. While the journal volume and number exist, the article that DeepSeek cited does not exist in this publication. The tool has fabricated a reference by combining bits and pieces of likely content on this topic. Did you ask for a quote, facts, or data? You'll need to fact-check and ensure the sources used are credible and suitable for your project. As you've seen so far, it is not enough to assume that because the system gave you a reference, the information is factual or real. Once you've located the sources mentioned, check to make sure quotes and facts are accurate. In this case, while the first article did exist, the quote was fabricated and doesn't show up in the article. You can also fact-check data and information against other sources on the same topic. Try Googling to verify the info. In the paragraph, DeepSeek states that censorship attempts in Canadian libraries are rising. If we search in Google, you can see that a variety of potentially credible sources state this fact. If you've verified the information is accurate, but there's no citation, now would be a good time to cite a verified, credible source to support this work. Once you've verified that the information is factual and can be backed up by a real source, it's time to evaluate the source itself. You might find the CRAP test to be helpful in this scenario. Just like you do when you conduct your own research, carefully review the source, asking yourself questions about whether or not it's credible, reliable, authoritative, and accurate, and what the purpose or point of view behind the source is. You may find it helpful to pause the video or take a screenshot of some of the questions you can ask yourself during a CRAP test. While it may seem tedious at first, the more you use the CRAP test tool, the easier it gets. You can find more information on the CRAP test on the library's website. It can be time-consuming to verify references, fact-check information, and determine if sources are really credible. Make sure you leave enough time to complete this work before finalizing and handing in your assignment. Need help? check in with the Library and Learning Services team for assistance.